Hello, I'm Angela Masternardi, President of the IATSE Local 873, representing film and television technicians in the Greater Toronto Area. We are very proud to be a major partner in the 2021 imagineNATIVE Film Festival. The hard work that goes into every production, from its conception to its realization on the screen, is being recognized and celebrated. Congratulations to the team at imagineNATIVE. Your diligence has created a venue where we can enjoy the talented and distinctive voices of Indigenous media artists. We wish you a great festival.
E korea e ngaro he kākono I rui o mai rangi ātia. Ko ai tēnei e tuake nei, ko tainui te waka, ko tararua te maunga, ko ōtaki te awa, ko te pau tainui te marae, ko Ngāti Kapu te hapu, ko Ngāti Raukawa te iwi, ko Oriwa Kuripaerongo Hakaraia ahau. Kia ora, my name is Oriwa. I am a young filmmaker from Ōtaki, Aotearoa, New Zealand. I feel so honoured to have been given the opportunity to present a keynote at this year's imagineNATIVE Festival. A huge thank you to the team at imagineNATIVE for giving me this opportunity. I hope this year's festival is a huge success for everyone involved. And to everyone around the Indigenous world tuning in right now, I offer my blessings from my tribal home in Ōtaki. Taumai, ko te mauri tū, ko te mauri noho, ko te mauri ārangi, ko te mauri āpapa. Taumai ko te mauri o ngā tūpuna, uhi, wero, haramai te toki, haumie, huie, tā ikie. Today I am going to be talking about a subject that I hold very dear to my heart, the importance of youth filmmaking. I come from a storied landscape and a people that survive because we continue to tell the stories of our ancestors. I attend a full immersion Māori school in my hometown of Ōtaki that is located on the west coast of the North Island. My school is a tribal experiment that began nearly 50 years ago when my elders realised that the language and culture was at grave risk of being lost. A vision was created called Whakatupuranga Ruamano, Generation 2000, whereby there would be Māori policymakers, lawyers, teachers, and tribal leaders. The first Māori university was established in Ōtaki to support this, and my school, along with 4 other Māori immersion kindergartens, were also set up. I was raised in an environment that nourished the art of storytelling. As Māori, we have a long history of oral tradition used as a way to pass down stories through the generations. As a young filmmaker, I can say that young voices are not heard or seen in the mainstream film industry. As an Indigenous filmmaker, I'm sure you'd agree with me that the screens and opportunities available to us are few and far between. At a time where diversity and inclusion is exactly what we need right now, it is important that people start listening to what young people have to say. I have found myself at industry events as a filmmaker with people who don't take my ideas, plans, and experience seriously. And this is not only a problem in the mainstream film industry, but I've also experienced this in Indigenous spaces, and I can't help but ask why. My generation was born into the digital age. We have the passion, the drive, and the technology at our fingertips to change the narrative for our people. There are so many young people out there changing the world, demanding that their voices be heard. I know so many young people who are doing amazing things, and I can't help but feel overwhelmed listening to their stories and their struggles. The same issue of being stuck in a room with people who look down on you. From the age of 6, my cousin and I would run around the house pretending we were news reporters and interview anyone who showed up.
And he's going to be filmed very well. Now, this is our broadcaster, Wikitoria. Wikitoria, can you come over here so everyone can see you? Hello, people! Okay.
When I was 8, I made a film with my friends at school that was set in a storage room that stored a bunch of books. What my teachers thought would be a 2-hour project ended up taking 2 days. The name of our film was Te Kāpata Matuku, which translates to the scary wardrobe. Making Te Kāpata Matuku is what got the filmmaker ball rolling for me. I still watch it from time to time just to make myself laugh. 8 years ago, the Maoriland Film Festival, now the largest Indigenous film festival in the Southern Hemisphere, was launched in Otaki. It brought Indigenous screen storytellers and artists to my homeland to celebrate film and forge lifelong friendships. I was 10 when Maoriland Film Festival started, and I remember watching my village fill with visitors from all parts of the planet. The buzz of seeing new landscapes and hearing new languages. It lifted up the entire village long after the festival was over. Within 3 years of the Maoriland Film Festival starting, there were nearly double the population of Otaki arriving for the week-long festival. That's over 10,000 people. Since the launch of the festival in 2014, I have met and connected with so many amazing Indigenous creatives from all four corners of the world. In 2016, me and 4 other aspiring filmmakers expressed interest in a Maoriland youth program. We felt there was a lack of young voices in the festival's program. How cool would it be to screen films made by young people for young people was our main point. The Maoriland crew was all for our idea, and this led to the formation of Ngā Pakiaka. Ngā Pakiaka meaning the roots of the tree, and the tree in this sense being Maoriland. Our jobs as members of Ngā Pakiaka was to program films for young people to watch. We programmed films that were suitable for ages 5 to 10, 10 to 15, then 15 plus, the big kids. This was to ensure that young people who attended the festival could watch films that were best suited for them. As members of Ngā Pakiaka, we are also advocates for rangatahi storytelling in film, digital media, and creative technology. Our first audience is our peers, rangatahi Māori and iwi taketake from all over the world. Ngā Pakiaka is a huge part of why I continue to express my interest in film. It really got the filmmaker ball rolling a lot faster, if that makes sense.
What if the world looked at young people as potential? At Maoriland, we believe in rangatahi as storytellers. We work with rangatahi Māori across Aotearoa to tell their stories through film, bringing the equipment to them in rangatahi filmmaking workshops. Through our rangatahi leadership program Ngā Pakiaka, rangatahi filmmakers travel the world as well as make films in their own communities that then screen at film festivals around the globe.
To be able to see the world, to be able to meet with so many different Indigenous people, to see their stories and learn more that there's more to it than what I've only ever seen on TV. Maoriland has definitely pushed me forward and it's changed my life.
Maoriland believes in rangatahi to create the stories of Aotearoa for the world.
Ngā Pakiaka also led to the formation of Te Uru Maire, the Maoriland Rangatahi Strategy Plan. The Maire tree is the strongest hardwood tree in New Zealand. The Maoriland Rangatahi Strategy is a vision to grow a forest of young creatives connected across the Indigenous world. Te Uru Maire unites film, creativity, innovation and technology to develop young people for their future of work as story leaders, creatives and entrepreneurs. Te Uru Maire gives Māori youth access to the tools and skills to bring their stories to life and to connect with other Indigenous storytellers from around the world. In all the history of humankind, there has never been a greater need for storytellers as we look for answers to issues like climate change, food and water access, and other pressing issues. Maoriland created Te Uru Maire through the belief that Indigenous youth have unique perspectives and creativity that can be realised through digital technologies such as AR, VR, with them as key owners and creatives. Te Uru Maire is connected to industry with pathways into high-value creative work. In this way, rangatahi Māori can contribute to the well-being of their family and wider community with an underlying commitment to tackling social and environmental issues for the benefit of the planet. There are so many young filmmakers under Te Uru Maire who are doing amazing things. And along with Ngā Pakiaka, there are also other youth programs that fall under the Maoriland Rangatahi Strategy, Te Uru Maire, like Through Our Lens. Through Our Lens is the Maoriland Leadership and Pathway Initiative for aspiring Māori filmmakers aged 14 to 24. Through Our Lens is connecting Indigenous young people globally, enabling them to create screen stories from their perspectives as Indigenous young people for the world. Young people are selected around New Zealand to lead filmmaking workshops for their peers in other Indigenous nations. These positive collaborations result in short films that are screened at film festivals, schools, and communities around the world. Through Our Lens gives young people a platform to share their stories and provide an entry point to further training and employment opportunities in the film industry. Through Our Lens, I have been able to travel to Indigenous communities in Tahiti, Rarotonga, and Inari in Finland to teach filmmaking workshops. It has been such a beautiful experience and deeply moving to work with other Indigenous youth like myself, to listen to their stories as well as to help them make films. I feel I am able to connect with other Indigenous youth on a deeper level. This makes these workshops so much more meaningful. I learn as much from them as they learn from me. Travelling with Through Our Lens and forming connections with other Indigenous young people, I feel I am able to reignite my own creativity, and it's all thanks to the people that I meet. As much as I love travelling around the world with Through Our Lens and meeting awesome young people, I love travelling around Aotearoa just the same. That's right, we also facilitate workshops for Māori youth here in Aotearoa. We call these the Whanau filmmaking workshops. It's the same concept as Through Our Lens. We deliver a 2-day filmmaking workshop and bring in all the camera and sound equipment. We work collaboratively to make films with the young people that they can screen back to their own families and wider communities. The overwhelmingly positive reaction from the new filmmakers and their families to the stories that they have produced is proof that there are audiences for films everywhere. For Māori, we have little to no access to the film industry. The great majority of young people that we work with never thought that they could get a foot in the door. These workshops provide them with an entry point. Whanau workshops have now been delivered to more than 3,000 young people across Aotearoa. Over 300 films have been made via these workshops and have led to rangatahi careers in the film industry. Through the Whanau workshops, I have met so many amazing young people who now stand alongside me as filmmakers and members of Ngā Pakiaka. Like my dear friend Te Mahara, who attended an Whanau workshop in his hometown of Kaitaia, who ended up in Ngā Pakiaka and going on Through Our Lens trips, as well as facilitating Whanau workshops in his community. We also ended up co-writing and co-directing our first ever professionally made short film together. Now this is the part where I tell you about Bub. Bub is the story of a young Māori boy who returns home from school one day to find his nan, who he lives with and whom his world revolves around, has gone missing. Mahara, who is a 10-hour drive away from me, and I created the story. We wrote the script for Bub in a shared Google Doc. I remember writing the script in math class, and I was over the moon until I got in trouble for not completing any work. Maoriland fully got behind us and backed the making of Bub. They produced the film, and not long after we completed the script, we were on set. We filmed Bub in the kitchen of the Maoriland hub with a beautiful 5-year-old boy named Inia, who played the role of Bub so naturally. I actually think that's because he didn't even know he was acting. We were lucky enough to have the amazing Ray Edwards as our DOP. He captured the story of Bub so beautifully. Ray is the eye behind the breakthrough Māori film Cousins, so we were so lucky to have him shoot Bub for us. I would be lying to you if I told you that I wasn't nervous at all to film Bub. I was freaking out, but everyone on set created an environment that ensured Mahara and I were listened to and treated with the same respect as grown directors. I'm still so proud of the way Bub turned out, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to bring this story to life in the first place. We submitted Bub into imagineNATIVE, which led to me waking up one Thursday morning to my mum leaping into my bed screaming that Bub had made it into the festival. And there it was. the youngest New Zealand filmmakers to have a film premiere at an international film festival. Everything went in slow motion as I scrambled to inform Mahara. I felt like I was going to explode from the inside out. In order to get over to Toronto, we had to crowdfund. I honestly thought that we weren't going to get anything. Who would want to give us money? Boy, was I wrong. The amount of people who showered us in their support was overwhelming, and in the end, Mahara and I were able to fly over to Toronto. Suddenly, I was standing in front of a huge projected sign that said imagineNATIVE Film Plus Media and Arts Festival. Holy heck. And the next thing I know, Mahara and I were pitching Bub to other international film festival programmers. I couldn't stop shaking. And then boom, Bub was on the big screen having its world premiere. I would be lying if I told you I didn't cry a little. There it was, Bub, a film I had taken part in bringing to life, was on a big screen in a theatre filled with Indigenous filmmakers from around the world who I looked up to and respected so dearly. And they were clapping for us, our film, and congratulating us on our film. Absolutely bonkers. The experience of going to Toronto and meeting everyone at imagineNATIVE was that of a lifetime. Words can never express how much that trip meant to me. Bub had its New Zealand premiere at Maoriland Film Festival the week that New Zealand went into lockdown. It was weird. One minute I'm celebrating with Ngā Pakiaka and the Maoriland team on the premiere of Bub, and the next I'm sitting alone in my room. Lockdown was a very scary time for me. I was in a constant state of feeling uneasy and anxious, and I know for a fact that I'm not the only one who felt this way. As much as I hated being in lockdown, there was some good that came out of it, and that is the birth of MPIP, the Ngā Pakiaka Incubator Program. The Ngā Pakiaka Incubator Program was initiated as another way for Maoriland to support young Māori filmmakers. The role of the incubator is to help develop scripts and ideas from the young filmmakers and to bring the films to life. The incubator offers workshops with other awesome Indigenous filmmakers to learn from them and to gain a better understanding of what goes into making a film. The incubator was launched last year in lockdown with 8 films, including a feature film that I'm currently developing. MPIP came about because us rangatahi in Ngā Pakiaka asked for support to continue to grow as professional filmmakers. We had to crowdfund individually in order to make our films. Again, I was nervous that no one would be interested in my project, and yet again I was wrong. The support from Māori and Indigenous filmmakers who inspired us with their experiences and their craft was far more than I ever anticipated. Between lockdowns, we got to make some of these films. 6 of the 8 films have been shot, and I have had the privilege of working on all of the sets. Ngā Pakiaka Incubator gives all the support needed to make a film. The rangatahi filmmakers get to direct professional crews and work with DOPs and soundies, etc. By doing the work, we all learned so much. We then got to go into a post-production house to direct the final grade and sound mix on our films. The Ngā Pakiaka Incubator has already produced the most beautiful, amazing, wonderful stories made by the most beautiful, amazing, wonderful young filmmakers, and they will be released later this year. It has been such an amazing experience assisting my friends with their films and being a part of their journey, as well as learning from the best of the best. And the fact that our crowdfunding was so successful is proof that there is an audience waiting for films made by young filmmakers, a reflection of how they feel and what is important to them. We are new perspectives that, given the support, can produce masterful films. My experience as a member of Ngā Pakiaka Incubator has strengthened mine and others' beliefs that as young people we have a voice and we can make a difference to the narrative. But we must not wait for permission to make films. We have the tools now and are able to create a community across the Indigenous world to show these, a community that can support each other in filmmaking excellence. This has all given me the confidence to start developing my first feature film. In a month's time, I am going to be shooting the first scene as a pilot, and I am both terrified and sure I could not have dreamt such a big dream without the support of my peers. The industry tends to treat us young filmmakers as students and bottom of the ladder, but as Māori we grow up with the concept of tuakana taina, meaning from the older sibling the younger learns how to do it, and from the younger sibling the older learns how to do it. Our Indigenous thinking can be the paradigm shift for the film industry. We need to create and learn and get our stories out there to ensure that we are heard in order to ensure Indigenous films are seen in the so-called mainstream. We also need to support Indigenous filmmakers to hold the space, and to me that means that when I enter the industry, rather than holding my foot in the door for others, my peers and I will open the door for our communities to enter and support us. As a young filmmaker, I would like to pay tribute to all the Indigenous filmmakers who are holding the space and who have carved out and created films often with more challenges than support. As part of a new generation, I understand that I am part of a continuum that stretches from all of our ancestors to now. Nāku te raudo, no te raudo is a proverb we use here in Aotearoa, meaning with what is in your basket and what is in my basket, the people will survive. I will now close with a karakia, a blessing. Thank you all so much for listening to my perspective on the importance of youth filmmaking. I hope you enjoy the rest of what imagineNATIVE has to offer. I am so sad that I can't be there in person to connect with you all. With this karakia, I send words of blessing from Otaki and Maoriland to you all over the Indigenous world. Kia tauiho ngā manaakitanga a te mea ngaro ki runga ki tēnā o tātou. Kia mahi ake te hua makiki, kia toi te kupu, toi te mana, toi te reo Māori, kia turuturu a whiti whakamaua, kia tīna, huie, taekie. Ngā mihi.